showed in qualifying, leading this big field down through Honda for the first time. Problems here. Might be Tander.
It was Bargwanna, 35, and he's right out in that new area that's been completely revamped since we were here last year. They're previously severe damage as well in the right-hand corner of the car.
Boy, that's not a good way to start the season with a new sponsor. Look at the damage on the side of the ICS Ford.
And lucky to get out of it as well.
Well, thought it was a relatively clean start. Man who's made the cleanest start is Mark Scape. He's already opened a gap of 2 or 3 car lengths over his teammate. Marcus Ambrose in there in third. Radicic in fourth. Just watch this big field muscle their way around MG.
Remember, this is 28 laps, and it has a compulsory pit stop. This is a different tyre to the tyre that the teams raced on here last year. We've mentioned it a couple of times already, but it's particularly significant for the teams that don't test here. The Holden Racing team test here. So does the Ford Tickford Racing team. Castrol Perkins Engineering run here, but the majority of the other teams are testing at other circuits, and this is quite unique in the way in which it works a car and the way in which it works a tyre. So look at a replay and just see what happened here. Bargwanna gets very wide at turn 3, and that's a terrible place to be out in the kitty litter there. And that previously was a clump of tea trees. Had they been there now, Jace would be in a lot more strife than he is. And now we'll see what happened with Mark Larkham here. He's on the run up to Siberia, which is turn 5. Oh, he jumps on the brakes, gets it crossed up. Locks the rears, throws it off into the grass, and then it's been very wet here in the last couple of days. We've had an amazingly warm summer in Victoria, and then the heavens opened in this past week, so the outfield's quite slippery.
Oh, yeah, that's
McConville.
Yep. That's the exit to Lukey Heights. He's gone around there in that slow little right-hander at turn 8. It happens with the bows off. And that looks like he's got over... He's gone in the runoff area down at turn 4 into the hairpin. And it's a very awkward place to manoeuvre. Remember, the outfield's quite wet at the moment. We've had a lot of rain down here in the last couple of days. There, it is a great shot. That's where the old Phillip Island circuit once extended up to a very similarly shaped hairpin. It was shortened for safety reasons when the track was rebuilt for the Motorcycle Grand Prix many years ago. And Bowie's gone in there with a problem. A lot of safety modifications made to the circuit since we last raced here. Very good ones.
Mate, earlier in the race, I may be accused of being a bit of a veteran here, but earlier in the race, David Besnard came down the inside of me where there wasn't room, hit me in the back, bounced along the side of me, and eventually finished up buried in my front wheel. And it was quite a hard hit, and it's obviously cracked the hub, and the hub's broken. But I'm sure the stewards will do something about it, because it is absolutely lunacy.
Is that something that you can replace before race 2?
Oh yeah, of course. We'll put a new hub on it, but we're having quite a good race, and because some young lunatic hits you, I mean, can't these blokes drive without running into people?
Well, intense feelings down here in the Cat Racing team. Thanks, John.
The choice for the second race, and there's McConville off again. Remember, he had troubles in the opening lap with Dougal McDougall. This is on the exit of turn 4, the hairpin. A little bit of a funny place. It's those marks and where he is suggests that he's been involved with a battle with somebody. You don't just find that particular spot on the road by accident.
Stephen Johnson in 7th. Let's have a look at this Helix replay of
Steve Ellery and Radicic. Remember, we heard from the pit before that Paul is battling with chronic understeer. Now here's this situation between Larry and McConville.
What happens here?
Oh, I see. Larry has a bit of a tank slapper. Oh, dear. Yeah, there had to be an explanation, because that was very odd. In for 3 or 4 corners. Whoop, trouble here between White and Mazira. Again, turn 4. It's the hot spot on the track at the moment.
He's brought out a few cars today. Garth Tander. Oh, I hope he doesn't. Just gives things
on the way out.
So Tander miles back.
Look at Scapey.
If they qualify in the top 10, they've done better than that.
Oh, dear.
Replay of the collision between Matthew White and Thomas Mazira down there at turn 4.
Thomas won't be too pleased about it.
Contact disruption there, and cars scattering all over the place. They include Anthony Tratt, Matthew White, Brad Jones, Tony Longhurst, David Bernard.
Well, Mark Larkham's been in the wars in race 1, and looks like he's got some damage here. Can he get out of that bog?
Paul Radicic has been dispatched. Something has happened here. This is on the run up to Lukey Heights.
Well, all hell breaking loose here as the field tries to gather themselves up. Of course, all these off-track altercations are going to drag a bit of dirt and garbage onto the track. But Radicic going right to the back of the field. This has not been a good day for the Rat.
Ambrose had everything locked up going into turn 4 into the hairpin the first time, and it'll be an interesting question as to whether or not his rubbers survived that. So it is Scaife, Bright, Greg Murphy, a big mover. Remember, he qualified outside the top 10, and look at these two arguing over the battle into turn 1. Murphy and Ambrose, 3rd and 4th, then Lowndes, Stephen Richards, Todd Kelly, Stephen Johnson, and this great rearward shot from Greg Murphy's car as the Pertec Falcon climbs all over him.
Well, Marcus Ambrose is having one of those dream debuts. He's really happy with the setup on the car. He said he's got good rubber mileage out of race 1, feeling very confident about his race package for race 2. Look how close he is behind the Kmart Commodore as they sweep down that dauntingly fast turn 3. Hard under brakes for turn 4. Lowndes in behind him, and Richards up there too.
Mark Larkham has stepped out of his car, so whatever his problem is as a result of that shunt, it's terminal.
Greg Murphy had high expectations to switch to the TWR run Kmart Commodores this year. He feels he's got the tools to do the job. He wants to be a championship contender from race 1. Didn't get the start to the weekend that he would have liked, but now he's right in the thick of things. The order: Scaife, Jason Bright, Greg Murphy in 3rd, Marcus Ambrose filling the mirrors of the Kmart car, Craig Lowndes and Stephen Richards in there behind. Todd Kelly, good start from the Kmart driver.
Here's a replay of this incident on the way up to Siberia. Not really sure what triggered Larko going around. He was there with one of the Castrol cars. Rodney Forbes got into the back of one of the Valvoline cars. John Bowe ducks to the grass on the inside. Those that went to the grass on the outside in a terrible position out there. Remember, it's very wet in the outfield.
That's the second time Larko's got into trouble at Siberia. If you remember, he spun there earlier on.
Now here's the replay of the Radicic incident. He's been, I'd say, shoved up onto the grass, but we don't know who. It may well have been either Wheel or Morris. Something sent Radicic out into the grass there. It's not an area where you typically expect to fire off the road.
Geez, lucky he didn't collect any traffic there too, or they didn't hit him.
Mark Scaife, incidentally, has set the fastest lap of the race so far with a 35 neat. Oh, Bradley left a bit of space there. And that's
tears. It's going to end in tears. Those two were pretty serious about that. So Bradley, lucky not to get collected by Anthony Tratt. So Brad, fortunately, this brand new XR8, as Neil suggested earlier, just making its debut this weekend, so it's good to get away without too much damage.
You're saying about teammates, Neil. You're always happy for your teammate if they have a good weekend, though, aren't you, really?
do handsprings.
So this battle back at the pack continues. Mark Scaife, meanwhile, continues to pump out the lead over his teammate. It's out to 2.7 seconds now. Jason Bright defending. As Paul Morris has a look down the inside of Anthony Tratt's car, a little bit further back in the pack. Bradley Jones going to clear out really good. Let's have a look at the Shell Helix replay of that incident.
He did leave quite a lot of space, didn't he, really?
6 of one, half a dozen of the other. There was some room, so therefore there was some incentive, but there just wasn't room for both cars to get through, and he got to about the B pillar, but only just. It's a very hard one to call.
So that's the battle a bit further back to put him in a better position later on in the race. Here's Thomas Mazira in big trouble.
Some high-speed farming out at turn 2, and I hope the gravel trap catches him here, which it does, and he doesn't make contact with the tyre barrier at the end.
That's a race of survival. We've got problems here for Dougal McDougall
and Paul Wheel.
And Paul Romano and Greg Ritter.
And Tratt on the inside there in the Toll IPEC entry.
Unbelievable stuff.
They worked all night on Paul Wheel's car after a really bad crash yesterday, and that's not the thing he deserves, that's for sure.
Tough area up there in the braking area for turn 4 at the top of Wakefield Street. It's bumpy. They've got cold tyres. They've all got 120 litres of fuel on or close to it. Most of them will run fuel heavy in this opening stint for the race. And it's on for young and old up front. Scaife covering as they come down towards the hairpin turn 10. And we've got one of the Kiwi entries out of business, 21.
Jason Richards.
And that's pretty severe damage. He's made contact with the wall, and he'll be coming back into the pit lane, no doubt, at the end of this lap. But at least he's mobile and can bring the thing home. There's a lot of damage to the front of Richards' car.
We've seen that team in dramas throughout practice and qualifying. The Team Kiwi not off to a good start, but look at this great start by Mark Scaife, the reigning champion in the Holden Racing Team Commodore. Greg Murphy in the Kmart machine right up behind him. There's the first of the Fords, the Rat. On fire in the Shell Ford, then Todd Kelly, then Marcus Ambrose in the Pertec Ford.
name of the game here is just to settle down, really, and not lose contact, because it's a really, really long, hard race, and to get everything nice and warm, get the brakes hot, tyres hot, everything, and not take any chances.
And one point that we've not made in the opening segments of the show is that, unlike the other races that we'll see this year, it is highly likely that safety car will play a role. So it would be pointless at the moment, Barry. Let's say you had pace in your car. There's no point disappearing down the road, burning up your tyres and brakes, because it's going to be taken away from you anyway, most likely.
Oh, look at this. What have you got? Oh,
Shell Helix replay shows McLean may have triggered that. Maybe. There could be more to it. Dougal goes round. Rodney Forbes gets through. Cameron McConville there. Then the traffic jam starts. Paul Wheel bonk. He's got Paul Romano behind him. Ritter's in trouble there. Traddy's off to the inside, parked against the wall.
Let's have a look at that from the chopper again. And it's just a classic freeway end for end, isn't it?
Yeah,
one after the other.
We didn't actually get to see the triggering for that, so it's hard to know who did what to who. But
there's so Cameron McLean.
Paragon Motorsports entry. He's got a major failure there. What's he going to do? Take it up?
Looks like a catastrophic engine failure there, and he's parked the car well out of the way, which is smart thinking, Cameron.
Kelly on his debut at Adelaide.
Incident here, David Bernard getting totally out of shape and touching the back of Stephen Ellery's car on the Shell Helix replay. Good work, that was excellent. Now look at this, Marcus Ambrose.
Oh, Marcus.
Not quite sure what happened there. We heard word from the pits that Ambrose was in all sorts of trouble coming down pit straight, so you'd suspect that he's been served off.
Yeah. You don't just land there.
Oh, what a shame.
There's our man Greg Rust in the background on the case.
Look at that.
Wow.
Wow.
Todd Kelly.
That's a monster. That is a monster.
Whoa. Man, did he get served up there. He's gone right across. Fortunately, the marshal's getting out of the way.
Still begs the question why people hang over those fences.
Yeah.
Oh, what a hit.
Mark Scape leads, but it's only just from Radisic, Murphy, Kelly, Tander, Seaton, Johnson and Lowndes. Don't go away. We'll have a conclusion to this little battle in a tick.
Continuing to drop. It's forecast of rain here. Oh, look at Scape.
And because Mark senses that he's weaker than Paul in that area, he's now driving the car.
How good was that, Scape, keeping that car off the concrete walls?
Look at that. I tell you, I think the old stewards are going to be pretty interested in that.
What an amazing bit of car control, keeping that thing off the concrete walls. Great work by Mark Scape, and look at how far he's dropped back to 16th or 17th now. I think that's Dean Canto up in front of him.
And has he ended up with tyre damage from that? He had to clamp the brakes on. Let's see if we can pick up his radio here. Just hang on a sec. See, he's talking about tyres. We'll swap them. See, they're inside the window at the end of this lap. That's right. We're working lap 15. At the end of this lap, he could come in if he wanted to get rid of these tyres. He'll make an assessment. Here's the replay. Shell Helix replay. Radisic super quick across the curb. Scaife really trying to launch his car to defend, but he's not quick enough. Radisic gets stuck into the back of the car when they come to the braking area and gives it a wallop. Watch this.
Oof. See ya. And Scaife. I really thought he was heading toward the concrete wall there. I don't know how he managed to keep it off. Watch this from another angle.
You can understand Paul's frustration, but the bottom line is that's not how you pass cars. I mean, they will not like that.
No, they definitely
will
won't
not like.
that.
I mean, he wasn't alongside the B-pillar. I understand the frustration. He wants to go down the inside, and Mark's there. Yeah. But unfortunately, the rules just don't allow you to do that. I don't think they'll take too kindly to that.
Look at this. Have a good look at this one. Watch. Oh, the stewards are really not going to like that in a big way.
That was amazing. Kmart Commodore, Greg Murphy now coming back out onto the circuit. So now all these stops are going to start.
I think he missed his pit.
I was going to say.
Oh, no.
There was something
unusual.
unusual.
To actually come in then.
There was something unusual there. Grant.
That is indeed what has happened. You won't believe it. Murphy has come in to be the first man to pit. He shot straight past his teammate, locked it up, got it sideways. Then all he could do was continue out and then go around and do it again. What a shame.
That's going to cost him a ton of time. Slowing down. Here's Mark Scaife for his stop.
Scaife's gone. He's taken on his fuel stop. No, that's a disaster for Murphy because that's just net loss that time. What he needs now to be able to, the only way out of jail there is if the safety car comes out and somehow gives him some of the time back. But
oh, he's lost a massive amount of time. What's going on down there in the Kmart racing situation at the moment? Look at this.
Oh, look at this. Whoa! Oh, dear me, Kelly.
As Neil Crompton described it, the cork in the bottle. And eventually the cork had to pop. Look at that, Todd Kelly now. He was involved in that incident with Marcus Ambrose earlier in the race. Now he's been on the receiving end, and he's coming into pit lane.
You notice Craig Lowndes was able to duck around that, but Stephen Johnson got tagged in it all. Now, has Johnson incurred some other performance in debilitating damage?
I just wonder if Todd Kelly was... Oh, no, I was wondering if he was backing off to go into pit lane. He didn't look like he was on racing line to go into pit lane.
He was just getting attacked. And, so Lowndes has moved up to third. And obviously, we'll be able to have a little bit closer look at it because sometimes it takes a bit of study. Let's go on board now with Craig. Let's see what happened. No, it's already happened by that stage. But look at this for reaction. Poor old Stevie, he's the one that gets carted out into the grass and gets reversed into by the Kmart car. Look, he just left a gap. Garth was given the incentive, but...
Oh, no, he could have been coming into the pits.
Not at that speed. Well, if he was coming in at that speed, I'd be very surprised.
If you look at it, it looked like the back was coming round already.
Yeah, I think...
Well...
that would be if, and let's have a look at a Shell Helix replay before we just finish that remark. And Larko's in trouble here, up on the ripple strip, turned around and brushes the wall. Don't know whether he was helped or whether it was a solo performance, but he gets away unscathed. But just going back to that little topic,
Paul Romano and the Holden Young Lions Commodore, and he has had a rest.
Something wrong with the right rear.
Look at the rear. Looks like the...
That's toe in, toe out, toe in, toe out, and wheel off.
Yes.
And at the moment, we have a number of incidents going on. We'll go through them for you as we are once again under a full course yellow and the safety car is out there. This is Greg Murphy parked on the side of the track, and that's why the pace car or the safety car is out there, but there's been plenty happening while that's gone on, gentlemen.
And here's a replay of what happened to Greg Murphy. Launches off the inside curb and then straight across the outside curb. This is at turn 9 and wallop into the wall in no uncertain terms. That's turn 9. Same place Paul Wheel went off yesterday, and with much the same result. This is a replay from, I think it's Craig Lowndes' car.
Yep.
And that's Murph off in the distance. And yeah, it makes you wonder whether that car had another problem, because it just didn't look to me like he was turning right at all.
I think somebody set a broken steering arm.
There you go. That'll do it.
Oh, that's nasty, isn't it? Oof.
Just well, they got those tyres there to try and arrest the car before it went head first into the concrete.
You still get a fair old lump, though, don't you? Oh, look! Oh, wow.
John Faulkner hooking a hose on the rear wing end plate and dragging gantry hoses, G-size bottles with nitrogen in them.
And look at that. He's actually caught up Mark Larkham's crew in the process.
Oh, wow.
Wow, what a disaster.
Oh, that's one of Mark's crew on the floor there.
Yep. Hopefully he's okay. It's just an absolute tangle. If there's the injured crew member, in fact, with a big lump of ice on his head. Well, what a moment.
The Munro safety car is about to let them go again. It won't be too long. The lights are off and they'll be set to race once more the Clipsal 500. Let's have another look. This is John Faulkner after he left pit lane, catching a couple of hoses, and there is one of the guns flying off the back. There are in fact two. The other one must have left the car a little early.
Trouble. Mark Larkham's one of the protagonists. Can't see who it is behind the tree.
I think it's
Todd Kelly.
Kelly.
Look at the damage.
Kelly has been in the wars today. We saw him get tangled up in that battle with Marcus Ambrose in the opening laps. And now he finds himself going right to the back of the queue after a big contact down at the hairpin.
And the queue's an important thing. Look at this bloke leading with a 9.2 second lead. Some kind of rear suspension problem or failure. Broken the linkage at the rear, I'd say. Look at this thing, it's smoking. Yeah, something odd. Look at that, the whole rear, the whole diff assembly's moved across.
It must have been where he came out, whacked the wall out of the chicane, by the looks of it.
Well, they just won't take that kind of punishment. Ultimately, look at the poor old thing, and it's brand new.
It's a brand new car.
That was a merciless display of driving from Paul Radicic. He really hammered this car from lap 1, and it's just cried enough. There's only so much these cars can take. They're big, tough old buses. Look at this challenge down the inside by Jason Bright. He's split the Valvoline-Cummins pair. Stephen Ellery's trying to go with him. But here comes Paul Radicic. A car full of smoke. What a sad end to what has been a brilliant race. Paul Radicic has shown so much speed, and you can quite graphic there.
Tremendous pace early on, but
you can see that complete rear axle housing moving from left to right. All the suspension pickup points are broken.
Hey, Paul, linkage is broke. Drive pit lane to me and go straight in the garage, please. We'll see what we can do. I can see you're in pit lane now.
Well, it is from the pits, goes straight into the garage.
60K, please.
What a sad end. You barely see Paul Radicic through all the smoke. He's waving to the crew saying, no, forget it, boys.
I can't imagine that. Well, there's no really not time left, is there? Really?
well, also just had information that Stephen Richards has been penalised for speeding in pit lane.
And listen to the cheer from the whole of 8 laps remaining for race leader Craig Lowndes. The gap still 9.5 seconds.
Oh, dear me. He won't be too pleased about that.
So John Bowe has been one of the harshest critics of the driving standards in V8 Supercars. He says he's competing against a bunch of lunatics, and more often than not he seems to get served up by somebody. Big hit there from the Valvoline-Cummins Commodore, so Bowe goes back, loses a little bit more track position. Fortunately the car looks like it's reasonably healthy. Let's have a look at that again.
It's just...
Really far enough up, but we've seen some interesting interpretations from race control today. So
it's in 6th position. Let's have a look a little bit earlier on the Helix replay. This is there's been a number of
Glenn went a little bit deep there.
Yeah, and pressure driving gave him a bit of a rub as well.
Don't forget, look down in 10th position. It's Dean Canto, the 2000 Conaco V8 Supercar champion.
Sorry, Grant, we're just going to have to cut over the top of you there, buddy.
Dear.
But Jason Bright and Glenn Seaton came to blows. Brighty had a dive down the inside, and he's managed to turn himself and Glenn Seaton around. Seaton's parked up on the curb. Oh, can you believe this motor race?
See Brighty lighting up the rear tyres. It was like he was getting away from a bank robbery then.
Lowndes has had a spin.
Oh, whoa, dear, this is...
Lowndes has had a spin, we believe. Now, where has that put him? He had a 10-second margin. Just pushing too hard under brakes. Laps 75 or 78. This thing's alive to the very last metre.
It's going to be interesting to watch the timing monitor here as they come across the start-finish line. Oh, Glenn Seaton's out of action too. Well, what's happening here?
Oh, dear me.
Now, I really thought Seaton was going to drive out of that.
Oh, it's had a pretty fair old whack mark up against the wall. It's ripped the bumper off, and goodness knows what it's done to the left rear.
Well, he's out of the car, and the medical team on staff, and that's a typical scene you see at the Adelaide race. Very, very demanding on the drivers. The toughest race they'll ever have.
Events compared to yesterday's race. Tander on the menacing run down the inside.
Look at this, Ellery!
Bang into the back of Tander, turns him around.
Oh, Bob.
Nose to tail. Bow goes in, Larkham goes in, Dean Canto's in there.
I think Rodney Forbes is another car in there too.
Glenn, yeah. Oh, dear.
Larko's got a lot of damage. Bow's got a lot of damage. He's out of business.
We saw Enferendas here yesterday.
Well, that was never on.
Stephen Ellery just came from a mile back.
Never on.
And he's paid the penalty. Oh, we've got problems here for Jason Bright. He must have got caught up in that tangle as well. He's got smoke belching from the left front tyre and body damage as well as he swings it into the Holden Racing team.
So it's going to be guard repair, front splitter off and replaced, and hopefully no geometry damage to the front suspension, but that's going to cost time. Expect that to be a good minute or more. That's correct.
The racing team working feverishly away. They've got the slide hammer there. That's a large weight on a pole. They slide that back and it helps drag the sheet metal away from the damaged tyre.
They're opting to leave the fiberglass in play. Well, no, they're not. They're ripping some of it out of the way.
Look at this. I mean,
Boof.
I don't know whether there was a coming together between him and between Ellery and Bargs, maybe. It's slightly.
You need to see it again from earlier on. Great presence of mind from Bargwana there at one stage. I just saw him jump out of the way. It could have been a worse situation for him.
Have a look. No.
Now watch see Jason Bright sneak around on the inside here. This is where he did the damage to that left there. Just when he went over the curve there, that damaged his left wheel.
Just watch this, guys. Ellery down the inside. Dirty track, hard to pull up. Bang, tags. That's pretty straightforward.
Now watch Bright. Oh, you can't see him. He goes under the tree there, but that's where he clipped his left front wheel and did all the damage.
The race, you think, oh, look at that.
Now Bright's, they're trying to keep him up. Trying to get him up.
Keep him on the lead lap is what they want to do.
Keep him on the lead lap. Keep in mind, under these regulations with the Clipsal 500, you are not allowed to pit under safety car conditions. So what they're going to try and do is try and get Brighty as close as they can to the leading bunch before they go back to green to minimise the amount of track position he's going to lose.
Oh, look at this.
Rodney Forbes and Cameron McConville in the wall. Lap 6 of 78. What's all that about?
Could this be another safety car, I wonder?
I wouldn't mind betting.
Safety car flags are out. So we'll go back to controlled intervention of the race. This is an unusual looking position. I can't even quite work out where it is. We'll take a look at the Shell Helix replay.
Now they're battling over.
It's already happened by this stage, has it?
Yeah.
Well and truly. So that's...
Look at the left front on Forbes' thing. He's got no steering now.
Just about squeezes the Team Kiwi Commodore out.
Yeah, up at turn 5, it's the area where, for example, Glenn Seaton and Jason Bright came unglued late in yesterday's race. But that's happened just slightly prior to that. Cameron McConville out of the car. And we've marked the crash zone there for you.
Race trim, but Garth Tander hasn't got off to a good start. Problems here for Brad Jones.
Some sort of collapse of the rear suspension on the car. It might be a repeat of what we saw with Paul Radisic's car yesterday. If you break a Watts link bolt in these things, it'll drop the rear end out of them. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, whatever it is, it's got him.
I don't think many people would have suspected to see the Jones brothers operation having such a difficult introduction to V8 Supercar. They've been very successful in every category of racing that they've entered. But since they've gotten to V8 Supercar, it's been a very tough exercise.
Lowndes in fastest lap again.
The Aussie male car had a broken throttle cable yesterday which sidelined it, and now some kind of rear suspension failure.
Well, I suppose it's one better than ending up on your roof, really.
Probably a bit cheaper. 26.4, that fast lap by Lowndes. Still a couple of tenths quicker than Stephen Johnson.
Just had a word to Graham Jenkins and some of the boys down here. This one has got them puzzled. They are not sure what has caused this. It may be a problem in the with a leakage in the rear. And in fact, the rear suspension, if we can get in here and have a closer look, the suspension has actually come completely away. We'll try and get you a closer shot of that. There you are. And that's what's caused the Aussie male Ford to limp around this circuit here in Adelaide.
26.94, so there's only a couple of tenths in it. Those two just slogging it out with a 2 or 3 second bump. Oh no!
Dean Canto, one of the Valvoline cars. I think it's Tander's 34. It is.
Yep. Gee.
Bad goes to worse for Garth.
Isn't it amazing how your luck can turn around? This man was on pole position here last year, had great race speed, ended up on the podium at the end of the day.
What happened
Things
there?
looking different in 2001.
Bright continues his march forward. He's in 16th. 15th now as a result of that shunt in the final turn.
Ambrose up to 13.
Well, that's a great effort from Jason Bright. He dropped down as low as 36th after that altercation on the first lap. The Holden Racing team working very quickly to repair that panel work damage, put a new tyre on and get him back into action. You can see the scars there. Let's have a look at this incident a little earlier on. Let's see what happened here with Canto and Tander. Oh. Just a little kiss.
Not quite sure why Garth would be stuck there in that position on the track, though. Mate.
I just don't think Paul likes the shape of the standard XR8 nose cone.
Oh, no, that's
off.
Well,
Into the wall.
Having a bit of a laugh about that, but that's actually caused a lot of damage to Radisic. I don't know whether he cut a tyre or damaged his steering, but he's just gone straight off.
He gathers his thoughts up. We all know the words. Frustration. The car jumps out of reverse. It's a Grange dog box in these things. No synchro. They're not easy to get in reverse. Got to pick the lever up, and no, you can't drag it out of the tyre wall. He's hung out to dry on the wide part of the circuit. Larry's got him up on the ripple strip, and he makes contact. There's where the damage is done.
Left.
I wonder if he's broken his steering or or cut a front tyre. Let's have a look at this from the outside. Maybe we can get some more information from this.
The car just doesn't turn.
Oh, steering. Look, it's dead straight, isn't it? Steering arm or something.
Track position at the moment at the bottom of your screen. And they go.
Whoa! Whack!
They were jumping the curves, and Canto was a...
Dean Canto, goodness me.
Wow, that was a hard impact.
What a shunt.
How many shunts at that corner is it going to take for someone to actually change the racetrack there? How many times?
Safety car is on the track as a result.
He's backed it up into that wall and hit it very hard, and the wall is positioned at 90 degrees to the direction of the cars there, which makes it lethal.
Yeah, we'll get back to that. We'll get back to that replay in a second. Here it is.
There you go. Now
Something's triggered that.
Driver's side. Watch. That's right. Whack. Right on the driver's side. So.
Problem in the not too distant future. Oh, Scaife's in trouble. He's turned it around.
Spun around, but it looks of it.
Now, where's that? Is that coming out of? Is that down on Bartels Road? I think that's the chicane on the back straight. Let's have a look.
He's hooked reverse.
He's found it.
That's novel.
He's going to do a flick spin somewhere here, is he?
Oh, I know where he is. He's in the braking area down the bottom of Brabham Straight. So instead of trying to do an awkward turn, I know, so it's the top.
Yeah, it's coming out of that. Coming out of that.
That's very odd.
Chicane in the middle. So he's had a moment coming through there.
Get back in your rhythm, mate. Get back in your rhythm.
Robbie Starr, his chief engineer, just telling him get back into your rhythm, settle in.
Yeah, that's just beyond where Dean Canto went off.
So Scaife, the most surprising moment there for the reigning Shell Series champion.
Okay, mate, don't lose your patience. You're just going to have to drive with it now.
So let's see what happens
He
here.
launches off the inside ripple strip, and then the outside one makes sure that he finishes the exercise.
This guy could give some lessons.
Never miss
No, I'm not going to let up on him, Barry. No way.
No.
The corner is wrong, wrong, wrong.
This guy could give some lessons in advanced driving. He's kept this car off the concrete walls in a number of moments. Really a good indication of a man keeping his cool at a very, very dicey situation. Let's have a look at him inside. He realised, oh, he's missed a gear, has he?
Yeah. He didn't quite slot it.
Yeah, that's...
See, it's the tiniest little thing, isn't it? It means he's gone in there with just a little bit too much pace. And then the curbing's just launched him off the inside, then the outside. Very lucky not to end up tagging the wall.
And you don't realise how much you rely on the gearbox to slow you down until you miss a gear, do you?
Well,
Craig Lowndes last year, only a sort of different set of cut.
Oh!
oh no!
Oh, no!
Scaife now, just concentrate on finishing.
Oh, what's that one there?
We need to know more about that one. Just after we said these guys are capable of clean racing.
They've taken that theory and blown it out of the water.
Unbelievable situation. Scaife and Lowndes have come together on lap 60 of 78. Lowndes reversing the car back along the wall. It's out of business. It's had it.
I think he's trying to get it, so he's got
for the championship now. He's out of the race.
Yes.
Plenty of passion here, V8 Supercar racing, and Craig Lowndes is out of the Clipsal 500. We're interested to see a replay of that incident. I'm sure everyone in Australia will be wanting to see a replay of that. And we also talk about our viewers in New Zealand watching right across New Zealand. Dramatic moment in the Clipsal 500. Lowndes almost shaking his head in disbelief. I don't know what's happened there.
Will this bring out a safety car? Not a very good position.
Almost guarantee, I would say.
Wow. And what effect will that have, if any, on anybody else in the field there at the moment? Look out, Craig's got the thing mobile again. Just actually he's going to perhaps get it into a safer spot.
Yeah. No safety car on that one, is there? Would there be?
Righto, what's happened? This is going to be the most significant replay of the day. Oh, I think...
Craig.
Oh, look how Lowndes went right up the side of Scaife's car.
Well, you need to see a little bit more of that one if you could. In fact, the onboard might tell a better story, and here it is. So he tries another crisscross move, goes to the inside.
Look at that. Right up in
Holy
there.
smoke.
That was a big hit.
Well,
that was a whack from Craig, wasn't it?
yeah, I'd say that at the end of the day, he's just tagged his right rear. He's trying to start out wide, cut down on the inside and sneak up, but they just didn't get it done, and they touched, and then he ended up climbing over the front of the Scaife car. Massive damage to the front of the Falcon. Now, and what's the damage situation with the Scaife car? Whoa, look at that. She's an open wheeler.
Yeah.
massive damage to Craig Lowndes' Shell Championship points chase. Keep in mind, this is a double points race. 360 points on offer for the race winner. And he's just thrown that all away. No chance. He's not going to get even a sniff of those. He's got 180 from winning yesterday's race. But it could have been a much bigger points haul had that altercation not happened. Now, the big question is Mark Skaife's car okay?
You reckon there'll be a bit of chat about this one later on?
How about that? Everyone was waiting for the classic battle between Lowndes and Skaife. I didn't think it was going to end up like that.
Remarkable, given that only just seconds before said, "I know these guys are capable of getting on with this forever," and it didn't eventuate that way.
So out of character, wasn't it?
Here's another replay. Shell Helix replay shows the situation as Skaife in front. Lowndes just tagged him by the look of it. Just tagged him and then climbed over the front of the thing, and that's that. Wow.
It's going to fill newspaper pages for many days to come, I'm sure. Oh, now Lowndes, what's he going to do? He's got the thing fired up. I think he's going to try and drive it back to the pits. What's going on here?
I think he's getting it out of the way.
No.
He's just getting it out of the runoff area, is he?
What's going on? Yeah,
yeah, I
he
think
definitely wants to take it right out of the action. Oh, it's got all sorts of ruptured ancillary systems there. So not looking good. Jason Bright leading this one. Russell Ingall 4.3 seconds behind. Glenn Seaton, Todd Kelly, Marcus Ambrose, Stephen Johnson, Larry Perkins and Stephen Richards.
Then it's Longhurst, Skaife limping at the moment. Faulkner, Murphy, McDougall, Ashby, Mazira, and one lap down Jason Richards from New Zealand.
Have a look at these competitors now. If you look to the right of your screen, you can see how much further they are there in the field. The one lappers, and then there's cars that are 2 and 3 laps down.
Stevie Johnson here, and Anthony Tratt it is, just behind him, spinning. Well, he must have got that back under control.
Stephen Ellery.
Super cheap. Get the cars to hug to the apex. There's a Shell Helix replay of this situation with Ellery. One of the Valvoline cars involved.
Barguana, I think it is. Might be 35.
X-ray vision's not that good today.
Yeah, they've got more speed. Oh, problems here for Paul Romano.
Now, will that Ambrose in? Will that bring out the safety car?
It's a 132.86.
Oh, it was Ingall.
Ingall, yeah. Isn't it amazing, the reversal in form? This man was absolutely on fire at Adelaide. Around the bumps and the point and squirt sort of circuit. A couple of these tracks where they've got to carry a bit more mid-corner speed, and he's really struggling again.
Looks like he's got dust in his eyes.
Just getting consistency at one of these V8 Supercar chassis, Neil, seems to be one of the greatest challenges for engineers up and down pit lane.
It is, and the behaviour of the cars can sometimes change dramatically, even though you've changed nothing day to day. So Russell gets out in the weeds, and he's all crossed up on the dust and marbles. He was very lucky he didn't actually throw it through the gravel trap then, and he just stays with it on the green. It matches nicely with the Castrol there.
Have a look at this from inside.
Oh, I see. He actually picked up too much of the grass on the inside, which kicked the car out from underneath him, and it just kisses the edge of the gravel trap. Shell Helix replay tells the whole story. Bounce, bounce, bounce.
Heart race at about 220.
At speed to get the business done.
He's our race leader, Mark Skaife. All damage here for David Bernard.
Bernard. God, he's having a terrible season so far.
Absolute shocker. Anything that can go wrong will go wrong for this bloke. He actually started to get a fair bit of speed out of this car by the finish of qualifying yesterday. But really, once again, the race day is a disaster. Mark Skaife, though, is leading this one 4.5 seconds in front of his teammate, Paul Radicic and John Bowe. Good performance from Bowe in the catboard. Cameron McLean, Brad Jones, equally strong performance. Stephen Richards, Marcus Ambrose fighting his way back, 13.
And in 9th position, we've got Lowndes, Morris, Kelly, Seaton, Longhurst, Johnson, Tander and Ingall. Hope you're enjoying race 2 from Eastern Creek. We're back in a moment. Ambrose behind Boggs, and Boggs is on.
I bet that was with Cameron McLean. There was a real...
This is turn 9, the hairpin behind the pits.
Real battle going on between his car and the Greenfield Mowers machine. And he's just been spat off there at turn 9. Plenty of damage on the side of the car.
John turning in a little later than Craig into 1. This time Lowndes is a little bit better position, but Bowe just moves gently across to the left. This is how close they get, but remember that bump that we saw Ambrose give to Murphy in race 1? That could cost you now. Here's a replay of what happened.
Oh, no. Ingall up inside.
Yes, it is. Russell Ingall gets halfway down the outside of Jason Barguana. leaves his signature in the door. Here's another view of that, and Parks comes off second best. Puts a bit of...
It's interesting watching that.
The first corner. Look at the 4th, 5th, 6th battle. Seaton Ambrose Bow. That ended in catastrophe with Tander getting caught up in it as well. And Seaton sustained a lot of damage to the front right-hand corner. Change also to the points for this weekend, but we'll get into that in more detail a little later in the show. But Bright's the championship leader from Scaife, Johnson, Ingle, Kelly and Murphy. And as Glenn Seaton drifted back through the pack, it caused a bit of a bottleneck, and McLean got up the inside there, but Glenn had a lot of damage to the front right corner of the car.
Yeah, you'd have to say with the driver's briefing, I would think they would just remind the guys that it's a 17-lap race and take it a little bit easy on the first corner, because otherwise that's going to happen. It's you'd have to say 6 of one and half a dozen of the other. That's on board from Ambrose's car, and he more or less got the blame for it, didn't he?
Well, it was a case of 3 into 2 or 3 into 1, don't go. Seaton was on the inside, Ambrose in the middle, and then all of a sudden it triggered a situation where Glenn made heavy contact with John Bow, who made heavy contact with Garth Tander, and all of those guys within there as well. It was nose to tail stuff. Then something weird happened. Greg Murphy went off the road at turn 4 while he was second. No damage done, just skated through the grass. He outbraked himself or some other minor problem, but he got back on and still gathered up important points.
There's Larry after a little tap from Lowndes.
He went off in the same spot, but his wasn't his own fault. He did have a black and silver Falcon firmly planted in the boot lid of that car.
If you look at the right rear, you can see, look, to the right rear, there's a little tap.
John Faulkner went off as well. Quite a few people went off at 4 as the tyres degraded and a little bit of debris got on the road. A few people got trapped. Rodney Forbes was one of them as well. There's a huge bump in the braking area going to 4. Here's Lowndes and Perkins from the head-on view. You can see the back of Larry's car got a really severe tap. Lowndes was able to continue, but he did get a stop-go penalty for his trouble. And officials are being consistent, which is good. We need to applaud that.
Listen to this, though. This is really... I wonder if he was doing what we do, just sit there and grit your teeth when you hear that.
Well, it happens at most intersections in most cities, most days, doesn't it? So Lowndes continues.
Real tangle at turn 1 now. It looks like it's relatively clean. No problems back in the pack for Stephen Johnson. Is he going to get that gathered up just in time? But he's clipped the back of another car. Tony, no, it's Dougal McDougall.
It's ripped the front spoiler off the front of the Falcon, so that's going to be a drama for Stephen. He'll have to come to the pits to repair that damage, extensive damage to the brake ducting on the car, maybe a little bit of the radiator ducting as well, and missing the entire front spoiler, which is an important aero aid on the car.
I tell you what, they would have called Paul Houdini after that lot. He managed to escape really well there.
What a shocking weekend for the Shell team. 3 engines, about $70,000 or $80,000 a pop. Then you take the front off that car, the sole remaining car.
I don't know whether you've seen the Aussie dollar lately, Mark, but it's a little bit more than what you're talking about. It's a huge cost for engines now, getting closer to 90 grand for an engine.
More damage. Look at this challenge by Marcus Ambrose on Mark Larko. Great start to the weekend for Larko in the ICS Smart Car. Russell Ingall really has been doing a lot of damage here. This Castrol Commodore is working beautifully around Hidden Valley. There's the new front spoiler, awaiting the arrival of Stephen Johnson. This is going to be a costly error.
Now, the significant thing about the 2 races today is the length of them. We've never raced for this long in Darwin before. It's the right rear tyre that the drivers and teams have been concerned about through the course of the weekend. They've got to be careful in the way in which they manage the wear and the temperature in this tyre. A lot of damage at the front of Stephen's car. This battle rages between Jason Bright and Marcus Ambrose. Mark Larkham has just skipped away a little bit, but meanwhile the 2 Ford guys, Holden guys, are well off in the distance. Here's the replay. We'll see what happened to Stephen Johnson. He comes shooting out of the pack. He's been triggered there one way or another.
It looks like...
Maybe the Lansvale car. Very difficult to apportion blame from that angle, and we're not really looking for it. We're just trying to see exactly what happened. But Dougal McDougall gets tagged. High Shot might tell more of the story. Oh, no. I don't know. Maybe Stephen just got a little hard on the brakes because I think, if anything, he actually had to lock up to avoid hitting Tony Longhurst.
It's such a difficult situation like that. It's so close, and you've got someone in front, someone at the side, someone up your backside. And
what happens is you get the huge concertina effect as they go into turn 4. This frantic work continues on the Shell Ford. A bit of race tape to try and finish the job off.
It's
John Faulkner.
I was going to say the big problem for England Murphy is the lap traffic, because they really have to get out of the way here, don't they? Really early.
This is going to be a test of Russell Ingall's resolve.
That's done Engel a bit of a favour there.
Because Murphy now is really closing in on the back of this Castrol Commodore. He's got plenty of speed in the Kmart car. It's obviously using its tyre as well.
6 laps to run.
Yeah, Murphy's speed's actually pretty impressive still in the 9s, and if anything, Russell's is just drifting.
Look at this, back markers coming up to back markers.
Remember earlier we saw John Faulkner off in the grass, and we think we've got an explanation for that. And
oh dear me,
he's gone off in a big way there, and this time it's a different one. He's off in the gravel, looped it around and kept it off the tyre wall. Down into turn 1. Another replay here, and it looks like John Faulkner is under siege from Steve Reed. Big time.
That was ambitious.
And that was just after Faulkner had rejoined the track from the last one.
Number 3.
It's been
I bet he said, should I have bothered?
or something like that. The 50s towards the end.
Oh, look at this. Who's that?
Ellery, and I think it might have been Russell, actually.
Oh, really? Yes, it was Ellery and Engel.
So Ingles.
So Faulkner and Engel also getting very close.
So Russell Ingall, after a shattering moment in that second race, first race today, leading it all the way, and just had the tail shaft problem right toward the end. It's really hurt his day.
Tander trying to get up the inside of McLean. Here's a replay of that situation with Engel, looks like into the back of Ellery through turn 6. Pretty fast part of the track, and the cars are very light there. Bang.
Whoa, that was close.
So Murphy. Let's have a look at that again from another angle.
Yeah, we don't quite see the start of it, so it's a little bit tricky to see precisely what's happening.
Very close there, though. Look, get the old feeler gauge out.
Yeah, it's about 2 down the inside of right. Sorry to interrupt there, Craig. Longhurst goes with him.
Oh, dear me.
Almost turned him around. Longhurst has paid the penalty for that one, sticking the nose in there.
Oops, daisy.
He's pretty vulnerable right there.
Yeah, absolutely. That's an understatement.
This car's coming from 270 k's, braking for a very slow corner. Fortunately, he's got out of harm's way. So,
good job. So here we go. Now this is interesting because Tony's sort of slotted in behind Mark here, and they've both turned in. I don't think Jason actually saw him.
No, he probably wasn't expecting that by the look. But Tony was actually quite a long way up the side of him, but I doubt by the way. And you get another view here from Marcus's car.
And Marcus would have been.
Eyes hanging out on springs.
So much speed, looks like he's got problems.
Oh, dear me. It's Bargs.
Jason Barg, one away at a
dirt track in there.
Coming down through turn 8. Ends up on the grass.
I thought he was going to get the shell sign then.
Good oversteer demonstration, Barks.
Yeah, exactly.
Here's the pass on board with Mark Scaife, and Greg offers no resistance at all. He's left plenty of room, and Mark was able to just squeeze by. Looked like he was right on the limit. Be curious to know what's going on with car 51. There's John Faulkner chewing on a bit of Northern Territory grass. He doesn't look too pleased.
But I don't think anybody is going to moan about the officialdom. Well, basically, if they're consistent, they are now. They're on it, aren't they? You know.
Bak 2 szűk, és bal 2, és bal 2, majd 50-re jobb 2, itt a bal 2, és 50-re jobb 2, jobb 2, majd szűk 50-re jobb 3 az aszfaltra. Szűk 50-re jobb 3 az aszfaltra.